Welcome back to another video, and this is an important one. So before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to my course, which is helping thousands of people. So please make sure you check out the links in the description. This video is a part of the complete data structures algorithms, interview preparation, Java bootcamp. Pause this video right now and subscribe. Why should you subscribe? Because I'm providing this course for free. It is one of the best courses you can do right now for free, and it covers everything. I have the entire detailed agenda in the description on which date I will be uploading which video, and so far people have loved it. Our Discord community has also gone like really like it's 20,000, 25,000 people are in the Discord channel. We only started it a month ago. Please subscribe, please share with your friends, join the Learning in Public initiative. So when you do something, like when you learn something, share about it on public, like on Twitter and LinkedIn. Use hashtag DSA with Kunal or hashtag 60 days of DSA. The Twitter bot is going to retweet it. So you can check out the Twitter bot as well, the 60 days of DSA one. Over there, you can see so many people are benefiting from this course. So don't miss out. Do it. Pause the video, subscribe, share with your friends, like right now. Right now you have to like. Okay, otherwise it will not work, because you have to support me in providing such amazing courses. And you don't even have to trust me. Just watch the entire comment section. Thousands and thousands of people are commenting. Check out the shoutouts bot on Twitter. Check out our shoutouts on the Discord channel. Or if you want to ignore all of these things, just watch the videos yourself and you will fall in love. But let's move forward with it. In today's video, we're learning about patterns. So you can see some patterns over here. Like this is a star pattern. This is some triangle, some other triangle. Okay, some number triangle or whatever, some half rhombus or whatever, right? Another triangle with some spaces over here and some hourglass or whatever. So by the way, yeah, we have assignments as well. So assignments, notes, and Discord support and everything is here. So these links and everything are in the description below. Make sure you check it out. I trust you that you might have subscribed till now. If you are new to the channel, it will really help me in reaching every single student in the world. Okay, when you subscribe and when you like, it will help me in reaching so many people around the world who will benefit from this course, because you will not find this on anywhere on YouTube. A course like this, such a complete course like this. These are not my words. These are the words of the students. Let's get started. So why are patterns important? Patterns in like programming languages, like using loops. We have already learned about loops, so link in the description. So patterns are important because it enhances your thought process. In some companies, like no one really asks patterns like this, but you can use the problem solving skills that you have practiced via patterns in your interviews. Rarely, sometimes I have heard about experiences of where patterns are asked in coding interviews. I have heard about experiences. Like my friend, he went to give a role of a company. There they asked some pattern questions. But to be quite frank, no one really asks this. Okay, in interview directly, no one will ask this. But why is it important? Because if you are learning programming for the first time, if you're learning a language or the programming, you did not know about loops, you don't know about variables, you don't know about input, output, or whatever. These patterns are very important to build your foundation. So if you're new in programming, if you're new in data structures algorithms, if you're new in algorithms and all these things, please make sure you focus a little bit on patterns, because it is only going to help you improve your thought process. So now that we know why we are doing patterns, let's look into how we can solve these. So this video is special, as by the title you can see, it says solve any pattern easily with this trick. You might be asking, Kunal, what is the trick? What is this trick that you are talking about, Kunal? What is it? Tell us. Okay. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And now let's look into it. So the trick on this is that I will write this down. Okay. So all these patterns that you may see, things may look different. But all of these things have some things in common. I will randomly choose all these patterns and create these, and it will be easily solved. There's a few steps you need to take when starting to solve these problems. I will tell you these step by step. So in this video, obviously, I'm not going to solve all the 31 questions, but I will tell you the steps with which you can solve, let's say, 1,000 pattern questions. I will tell you that step. I will tell you that trick by which you can do this. Definitely has worked for me. Let's look into it. So the prerequisites, very simple. We have already covered loops. So the prerequisites are loops. So you should know about like loops and stuff. I think if you are so far in the playlist, you might already be knowing about it. Patterns, questions, tricks, how to approach a problem. Via this trick, you can solve any problem of patterns. How to approach? Okay. Point number 1. Run the outer for loop. Run the outer for loop the number of times you are having the lines. Okay. So for example, if the pattern is this. So in every pattern like this, you will see rows and columns. You will see rows and columns. So outer loop, because if I talk about matrices, we already learnt about matrices. So in matrices also you have like rows and columns. Outer for loop is for rows, inner for loop is for columns. Very simple stuff, right? If you're not aware of it, make sure you check out the arrays video. The link is in the description. Don't comment things like, hey Kunal, we don't know about double for loop. Kunal, we don't know about it. Why are you asking such questions when I have already covered it in the playlist? So go to the playlist, check it out. 2D arrays. I've also added timestamps. Then come back to this video. We have covered it in detail, how to traverse 2D array, nested for loop. Still, I'll give an introduction over here, a little bit of hint. So as we know, these are the rows. These are the columns. Here in this entire pattern, we have 4 rows. And in first row, I have 1 column. In second row, I have 2 columns. In third row, I have 3 columns. And in fourth row, I have 4 columns. As you can see over here. Very simple stuff. In the first row, I have 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns and 4 columns. Okay, so this outer for loop, the number of lines is actually equal to number of rows. So I know that number of lines is equal to number of rows is equal to number of times outer loop will run. Does that make sense? Number of times the outer loop will run. Let's try to see. Let's try to do it till now. So if I go back over here and I say, let's say pattern number 1, okay? I say static void pattern 1 and let's say I just pass an integer n over here. So let's say for n is equal to 4, let's say I wanted to do the same pattern that I just wrote on a whiteboard. So let's say n is equal to 4. What is the step number 1 to approach a problem? What is the step number 1 to approach a problem? Look at the pattern. See how many lines you have in the pattern. That many times the outer for loop will run. No problem. That's it. This is the number of times my lines will run. That's step number 1. Okay, no problem. Let's see step number 2. What is step number 2? For every pattern. This is not just for this one. This is for every single pattern. Step number 2 is, what is step number 2? Step number 2 basically means how many columns are there with each row. So basically identify for every row number how many columns are there, or types of elements in the column. So for example, here we have star, but it might be possible that you have something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have to identify how many columns are there. So I can say that if this is row number, if I'm writing the row number over here, row number, this is, let's say, row number 1, row number 2, row number 3 and row number 4. In row number 1, how many columns are there? 1. In row number 2, how many columns are there? 2. In row number 3, how many columns are there? 3. And in row number 4, how many columns are there? 4. So in this particular example, number of columns for every row is equal to that row number or not? I figured it out. Point number 2. Point number 2 is For every row number, identify how many columns are there and what type of columns are there. So in this case, star type of columns are there. No problem. We can do it. We can do it. We can apply row number 2. So we can apply this rule number 2. So rule number, if I'm just writing it from, let's say, 1 and less than equal to n, no problem. That is also fine. So for I is equal to 1, or if I just write it as row, for row is equal to 1. Now for every row, run the column. For row is equal to 1, how many columns will be there? 1. For every row ROW, how many columns will be there? ROW. So for column starts from 1, column is less than equal to row. That's it. What do I need to print? Step number 3. This is like, it's included in step number 2 only. Like, what do you need to print? Okay, or I'll just mention it as a separate step. Okay, never mind. Because in more complex patterns, it will make much more sense. So step number 3 is, what do you need to print? What do you need to print? This is step number 3. That is it. This is all you need to solve all the pattern questions. That's it. Here I just need to print star for every element. So what do you need to print for every element? Star, no problem. We'll print star. Nothing major in that. I can say star like this. I can add a space over here if you want, no problem. So what will happen is, it will say row is equal to 1. Okay, then it will run, okay, for row is equal to 1, column is equal to 1. Column should be less than equal to row, means row is equal to 1. So column should be less than equal to 1. Is 1 less than equal to 1? Yes, it is. Print star. Then column will be equal to 2. Is 2 less than equal to 1? No, it's not. Come out of this loop. So when one line is printed, when one row is printed, we need to add a new line. One row is printed, new line. Second row printed, new line. Third row printed, new line. Same thing we were doing in 2D arrays questions that we did previously. When we were printing a 2D array, that is what we were doing. Print a new line. Let's try to run this. Pattern 1, let's say for n is equal to 4. Three-step process. Very easy stuff. So simple. If you want to debug it, you can. So currently, row is equal to 1, column is equal to now, okay, 1. So for row number 1, it's going to run this interloop of column one time only, because it's running the loop row times. Row is equal to 1 initially, so it will run it 1 times. Column is equal to 1. Is 1 less than equal to 1? Yes, it is. Print star and column plus 1. Column is now equal to 2. Is 2 less than equal to 1? No, it's not. That's why it came outside. When it came outside this for loop, it print new line. Now row will be equal to 2. Column again starts from 1. Is 1 less than equal to 2? Yes, it is. Okay, print star. Now column is equal to 2. Is 2 less than equal to 2? Yes, it is. Print star. 2 stars have been printed. 2 stars have been printed. Now it will be like column is equal to 3. Is 3 less than equal to 2? No, it's not. It will come outside of this loop and print a new line. Check this out. Here it will print a new line. New line. Now row will be equal to 3. It will be like, hey, is column 1 less than equal to 3? Yes, it is. Print star. You can see over here, it's printing star. Print another star. Print another star. New line. Print another star. Print another star. Another star. Another star. New line. Now row will be equal to 5. Is 5 less than equal to n? No, it's not. Outer for loop will also end. Program will end. That's it. Very simple stuff. That's it. With these 3 approaches, you can solve any problem. Let's try to solve more. Actually, this is pattern number 2 of the assignment. So I'm going to name this as pattern number 2. Name this as pattern number 2. No problem. Let's try to solve another problem. Let's say pattern number 1. This is very simple. Step number 1 is what? Identify the number of rows. So number of rows is equal to n itself. Identify the number of columns. In every row, the number of columns are also n itself. And step number 3, what are we trying to print? We are printing star. No problem. No problem. Copy this. Paste this. Pattern number 1. For every row is running n times. Every column is also running n times. That's it. That is it. That's it. Done. Let's try to solve some other question. Let's try to solve this question. Pattern number 3. Pattern number 3. Very, very easy question. Why is it easy? Because we are following these 3 steps. That's why it's easy. Pause this video, try it yourself. Like, share, comment right now, then try it. It's very important because otherwise this course will not reach around the world. I want people to know about it. And not just this video, it's a very simple video. When we do dynamic programming, graphs, recursion and space and time complexity, object-oriented programming, development, machine learning, DevOps, and all these things for free. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share right now. Okay. Pause this video, try it out. Okay. Hope you, okay, let's see. You can come after the clap. Okay. Hopefully you tried it out. Let's try to solve it with this approach only. With this approach only. Pattern number 3. So approach number 1, how many times the rows are there? How many rows are there? If this is n is equal to 5, then 5 rows are there. So outer loop will not change. Okay. How many columns are there for every row? For row is equal to 1, columns are 5. For row is equal to 2, columns are 4. For row is equal to 3, columns are 3. For row is equal to 4, columns are 2. For row is equal to 5, column is 1. So can I not do something like this? For every column, how many columns? Column is actually going to start from 1 till number of times. So for example, yeah, that's going to the same thing. It's going to start from like 1, but how many less than equal to is it going to be? It's not going to be equal to I. It's basically going to be, let's say, if here I is equal to 1 and I need 5. Okay. So basically this is 5 minus I plus 1. That's the thing. N minus I plus 1. N minus I plus 1. Let's try to run this. I will explain to you how this happened. No problem. N minus row plus 1. Sorry. Run. Simple stuff. Why? Think about it. So let's try to discuss it. Let me bring up my whiteboard. Okay, so try to just write it down, and basically one more hint I can give you is, in order to solve the problem, is try to write down the row numbers. So for example, if I'm writing 1, 2, 3, 4, row number 1, 2, 3, 4. In row number 1, I have, let's say, for n is equal to 4, this is the output. In row number 1, I have 4 columns, 3 columns, 2 column and 1 column. So first of all, you need to find like a formula. So this is another important point. Try to find the formula. I will try to write it over here. Try to find the formula relating rows and columns. So here, for example, if row number R, for row number R, it's going to be like column is equal to what? Here n is equal to 4. So this is actually equal to n plus 1 minus R. So basically n plus 1 minus R. This is just from common sense. N plus 1 minus R. Because one more thing by which you can initialize, you can see how, Kunal, how did you know it was n plus 1 minus R? Because first it was n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3. So this minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 is what? Minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 is what? R. Okay. So for example, if you had loop running from, let's say, because for example in this case we are writing loop running from row is equal to 1, row is less than equal to n. You can also do row is equal to 0, row is less than n. That is also something you can do. For example, we can do something like this. Row number 0, 1, 2, 3. Now the formula will change to n minus r. Here it was n rows, 3, 2, 1. So n minus 0, n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3. What is this minus 1, minus 2, minus 3? Minus 1 is equal to what? R, minus 0 r, minus 2 r, minus 3, 3 is also r. Alright, that makes sense? Cool. Let's move on to the next question. Now let's look into the next question, which is this one. So here it says that, okay, what is our first step? First step says how many number of rows you have. No problem, copy paste. Pattern, I think this is 4th. Yeah. So it has, let's say if this is for n is equal to 5, then 5 rows. So outer loop will run n times. Outer loop is running n times. Okay. Column is actually running for every row. How many columns do we have? Equal the number of columns for this is row number 1, that we have 1 column. Row number 2 we have 2 column. Row number 3 we have 3 column. So relationship between row and column is equal to what? R is equal to C. So this should actually be equal to less than equal to row. How many number of rows you have, that many number of what is the row number, that should be equal to the number of columns in that row. This is row number 4, it has 4 columns. But one more difference is that we are not printing star right now. What are we printing? You tell me. We are actually printing the column number. Column number 1, column number 1, column number 2, column number 1, column number 2, column number 3, column number 1, column number 2, column number 3, column number 4. So we are actually printing the column number itself. Let's try to run this. Pattern 4. Very simple stuff. Same thing. You can add a space if you want to make it look more neat. Okay. Very simple. Pattern number 5, this is a little bit different, but it's very simple. Again, step number 1, don't be like what do you call it, don't be afraid of this thing. Follow the steps. What does the steps say? Step number 1, how many number of rows do we have? How many times the rows in the outer for loop will run? Outer for loop will run the number of rows time. For example, this was for n is equal to 5. Then how many total number of rows do we have? 2n minus 1. 2n minus 1. Because here we have 9 rows. That's fine. Pattern number 5, no problem. Static void pattern 5 int n. Outer loop will run how many times? Step number 1. Figure out how many times the outer loop will run. So it will run n minus 1 times. 2n minus 1 times. Less than 2 into n. That's it. That is it. That's it. Now you need to figure out how many columns do we have. Let's say we have C number of columns at every row. This is the next step, right? Figure out how many columns you have at each row. Initially, let's say it's whatever, okay? It does not matter. I'm just putting some dummy value over here, okay? So here I'm just going to say, okay, let's say this is the number of columns we have. Then for I is equal to, then print that many amount of stars. Okay, no problem. Print that many amount of stars, no problem. No problem. Then print a new line over here. No problem. I'm gonna rename this to row. That's it. Only thing remaining now is actually figuring out how many columns do we have at every step. How many columns we have at every step. You can see we have already done a problem like this. Question number 2. The problem is that this is a different part and the number of columns is changing accordingly. So you can see that first the number of columns are increasing till n is equal to 5. Then after, so for example, till row is equal to n, you have to add normal columns. Row is equal to 1, 1 column. Row is equal to 2, 2 column. Row is equal to 3, 3 column. No problem. So I can say that I can say if I is actually less than equal to n, sorry, rho is actually less than or 1 second, let me just try to think about it. So here I'm actually saying that it starts decreasing after the value of n. So the value of rho starts decreasing after the value of 10. Let's try to write it on a whiteboard and bring the formula. Everything we have done is same. Only thing remaining now is the formula that we talked about, relationship between C and R. That is something we need. Here right now it contains dummy value. We actually need a formula. Let's see how we can get the formula. I can also rename this if you want. Total, I can rename this to something simpler. Total columns in row. Okay, we need a formula for that. Okay, let's see how we can get it. So the question was something like this. It says the pattern is like, what is the pattern? Let's say for n is equal to 5, pattern is something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after this, it will start decreasing. Okay, let's write the row numbers over here. So let's say this is row number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Outer loop is running n minus 1 times, 9 times. That is correct. That's why we're doing 0 till less than 2n. That's fine. So here number of columns are equal to what? Columns here is equal to what? Column here is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. These are the columns. These are the row number. We need a relationship between this. No problem. So I can say column at every row is going to be equal to what? We need a relationship between this. So we know that if the row number is actually greater than n, in that case it will be something different. Otherwise, the column number is just going to be equal to row only. But when it exceeds this, in that case what will happen? So for example, if I take this one, here the row number is 5 for example, and or let's say I take this one, here the row number is 6 for example. So I need column number 3. Here row number is 7, I need column number 2. So I need total columns here 2. So it's actually subtracting from my total row number. It's going to be equal to, columns are equal to what? How many columns do we have over here? Try to figure out, brainstorm, think about it, pause the video. Column is equal to, okay, total row number that you have or 1 second. Total row number that we have. No. How many do we need to delete? We can see that first. So how many do we need to delete from here? If let's say n was equal to 5 and I'm talking about this thing, so it should be containing like, let's say some 7 or something. So sorry, total it should be containing at maximum n only. It can only contain like at maximum 5 only. We have to remove these 3. So this 3, how do we get this 3? This 3 can actually be equal to what? Row minus n. This can be equal to row minus n. Okay. Row minus n minus 1. something like that. All right. So in this case, let's say we are ignoring 3. So I can say this is like these are the ones that I need to ignore. So this is going to be rho minus n, rho minus n, minus 1, no problem, rho minus n minus 1. So 5 minus, sorry, rho minus n plus 1, rho minus n plus 1. So 7 minus 5, which is 2, plus 1, 3. This is what I need to remove. This is what I need to remove. From what do I need to remove this? From what do I need to remove this? My entire n? My entire n. So this becomes what? 2n minus rho minus 1. Let's try to write this down. Let's try to code this thing. Let's try to put it in code. So here actually this is equal to, columns is equal to what? If I can say if my row is actually greater than n, in that case it's taking what? Column is equal to n minus, sorry, 2n, 2 into n minus row minus 1. Otherwise it's equal to row only. Let's try to print this. Very simple stuff, but okay, here we are actually, 1 second, it should not be minus 1, I think, because total, okay. So this was the total number of columns, but we were doing less than over here. So either you can do less than equal to, or I can remove minus 1 from here, because the columns one is also running from 0, right? So I can remove minus 1 from here. This should work. Ta-da! Very simple. You can try it for n is equal to 5 if you want. Works well. Pretty cool stuff, right? So yeah, as you can see, very simple. Only thing is, it's the only formula we are following, the steps we are following. Okay, find the number of rows, find the relationship between row and column in each column, print that many amount of times, and print what you want to print. Let's look into another question. Let's say one more thing that can happen in questions is they will ask for some spaces. So we'll look into these spaces thing as well, but let's try to pick up a difficult question. Not difficult, but like more advanced. So this is something you can do, triangle, something you can do already. This is something you can do already, is also fine. Let's try to solve a question that covers all of these things. Okay, let's try to solve a question that covers all of these things. Which one we can do? Let's try to do this one, because here spaces are also covered and everything is covered. Okay, let's try to do this one. So how many times will the outer loop will be running? If n is equal to 5, outer loop is running 2n times. I'm just going to copy this. This is pattern number 28. 2n times the loop is running. What is the number of columns or number of stars in every particular one? Same as previous, because yeah, exactly the same as previous. That's correct. Pattern number 5, 1 2 3 4 and 4 3 2 1. That's also correct. This is also fine. Are we printing star? Yes, we are printing star only. But only thing remaining is, before every row you have to print some spaces also. So let's say you have to print some spaces. Let's say int spaces, number of spaces. Okay, number of spaces is equal to something, print that many amount of spaces. spaces, print that many amount of spaces. That's it. But how do we figure out the number of spaces? What are the number of spaces over here? So here, if n is equal to, let's say, what are the number of spaces here? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 4 spaces, 3 spaces, 2 spaces, 1 space, 0 space. 4, 3, 2, 1. So here column is 1, spaces is 4, column is 2, spaces is 3, column is 3, spaces is 2. So spaces is actually equal to total number of n minus columns, because here total number of columns are 4 and number of spaces are 0. So spaces can be equal to n minus c, right? Total number minus column. So here example, columns are 5, n is 5, number of spaces is equal to what? 5 minus 5, 0, that is correct. Here columns are 4, number of spaces is equal to what? N minus 4, which is 5 minus 4, 1, that is correct. 5 minus 3, 2, 2 spaces correct. 5 minus 2, 3, 3 spaces correct. 5 minus 1, 4 spaces correct. That is also correct over here. Because we have already figured out the number of columns in every row, we don't have to worry about this case. Here it will be the similar. N minus 4, 1, 1 space. N minus 3, 2, 2 spaces. Okay, no problem. Spaces is actually equal to what? N minus total columns in that row. Run this. Oh, I actually did not run it. No, I did not call the function. Pattern number 28. Run it. Looks good. Diamond. Now you can make, above ones as well. You can make this one. You can make this one, this one, this one. You can make this rhombus space one, whatever. You can make this one, this one, this one if you want. This one if you want, I can try, help you out in this one, no problem. This is you can make this, you can make this, you can make this. This is you can make this one, you can make this one also you can make. So many patterns you can make on your own. Does not really make sense for me to, do it again and again. Okay, let's try to see some other pattern if you want. Some different pattern, let's say this one. This is a different pattern. So let's say we do this one. The outer loop is whenever it's given numbers, try not to use 0 index, because then you can directly use the numbers. Okay, so I'll try to solve this one also. Static void, this is pattern number 30. Okay, pattern 30 in 10, no problem. Step number 1, how many times the entire loop is running? If n is equal to 5, it's running 5 times. So row starts from 1 less than equal to n, no problem. What is the next step? Next step is equal to how many times the loop is running? Columns. So here you can see column is first running from I till 1 and then it's running from 2 till I. So basically if I am saying row, this is row is equal to 4. So it's running from 4 till 1, then 2 till row, from row number till 1, then from 2 till row number, no problem. From row number till 1, column is equal to from row number till 1, column minus minus. So like 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1 or whatever. Just going to print the column number. And after that it's running from 2 till less than equal to row number. 2 till less than equal to 4, less than equal to 5. Okay. And here column plus 1. That's it. Only spaces are remaining. How many number of spaces will we have over here? This is as similar as the previous one that we did. This one, spaces in this case were equal to total n minus row. Same logic that we used over here. Okay. So here we have column is equal to 1. So the spaces are n minus 1, which is 4 spaces. Column is equal to, row number is equal to 2. Sorry, row number is equal to 1. Total spaces are n minus 1. Row number is equal to 2. Total spaces are n minus 2. So I can say int, or I can just run spaces loop directly also. For space is equal to 0, space is less than, n minus row. So I'll just print a space for this. I can say print a space for this and run it. How difficult was it? Very simple. I did not add a new line. No problem. Need to add a new line whenever all the loops are run. Add a new line. Let's try to see if we are able to make it like this. Very nice. Let's add a space also so that it looks prettier. And I can add an extra space over here because I'm adding spaces over here, so I need to add one space over above as well. Very nice, looks much prettier. Very cool. Similar question you'll find over here in 17. I think you can do this like on your own. Yeah, so I'm just going to say copy paste because everything is same. Question number 17. So basically the idea is now it's actually running over here. It's basically going to run till. So in 17 it's running from the number of columns, the number of column C, the number for that column. For that column, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is what we want to do. If I say int C is equal to something, so it's going to start from that column number and it's going to go till that column number only. That's the only change. Now we have to figure out how do we figure out this C number. Okay, and since we are following our rules, then this entire like outer loop will run how many times? Because we did copy paste, but we have to fix a few things over here. Outer loop will run 2n times. So 2n minus 1 times. That's why we have it over here like, we have 2n over here. So it's going to run 2n minus 1 times. That's why we have it from 1. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is equal to, yeah, that's correct. Cool. And it might have like, 1 space, 2 space above it or whatever. You can fix that if such things come into any pattern question or whatever. C is actually equal to what? Number the column, not actually the number of columns, but this particular one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is similar to what we did previously. This one. I explained this already. So this is actually in C is equal to like this. And this is also going to be equal to space is equal to n minus C, n minus column, right? So very simple stuff, right? I think that looks good. Let's try to run this. Pattern number 17. Ta-da! Very simple. Like, share, subscribe, comment right now. Pause the video and do it. All right, please. Cool. Let's look at one more question. Interesting. Now you can solve every question. Okay, don't worry. This is very simple. This is also very simple. We did it. This is an interesting question, so let's do it. Pause this video. Try to do it because this is sort of like a different question. It's very fun also. So try to solve it and then come back to this question, and then I will show you the actual answer, which was very, very easy. You will be like, oh, we never thought about this way. Sometimes you have to actually look for patterns in patterns. Okay, let's do it. Now, before moving forward, I also want to share like sometimes, 1 or 2 extra lines or spaces, if that is coming in between your more readable code. And let's say, obviously they're not going to ask this in the interview. So in that case, that is why I'm making exceptions over here. So example in pattern number 5, right? We take pattern number 5 here. The number of lines are, let's say 2n minus 1. But that, as you can see, the loop is actually running 2n times. Okay. So even though I can do it something like this, okay, and then I can start by, changing something in this, but that would look very messy. So if there's like 1, 2 extra line over above, and that's totally fine. That's totally cool. No problem in that. As long as you're having a good readable code. In these pattern questions, specifically. If they specifically say that, hey, no extra lines are allowed or whatever, then you can do it via your own. Okay, cool. So let's do this question. So for example, we have, in this question, we have if we follow our approach only. So we can say something like, total number of lines are, if here n is 4, then total number of lines are 2n minus 1. So I can say static void pattern 31 in 10. Two n minus 1. So we are going to do this like the proper way, no extra lines or whatever. How many columns do we have? Number of columns is also 2n minus 1. Okay, no problem. Or number of columns. Okay, that's how many times we need our loop to run. Now at every particular index, what value do we need? That you need to figure out. Int at every index is equal to, let's say, something. And you just need to print that. What value do we need at every index? Then you just need to put down. So what is the formula going to be for row and column? That is what you need to figure out. Can you see the pattern over here? Everything follows the same approach. Only thing you need to put your brain into is this line. What is the relationship between row, column and n? That's what you need to put over here. Rest everything is what we have discussed. Pause this video, think about it, then we'll come back. So in this example, let's try to think it on a different way. So for example, okay, this is so fine, so far so good. Okay, true. Let's say here we are having this many amount of rows, this many amount of rows. That's okay. At every index is what we need to figure out. So let's look it into a different perspective. Okay, let's try this out. Look at it at this perspective. Okay, imagine like in order to make things simpler, here we said that for this is for n is equal to 4, right? This is for n is equal to 4. For n is equal to 4, it's actually running indices of rows and columns from 0 till 8 till 2 of n. It's running its indices. So I can make, let's say, in order to make things simpler, I can say n is equal to 2 into n, just to make things simpler. Okay, so if it's 4, then like this, from 0 till 2n it will be running. So let's try to do that just to make things simpler. So here I'm just going to say n is equal to 2 into n, and it's just going to run till equal to n. So now it's actually going to run from 0 till 8. That is exactly what we can see from the figure also. Okay, very simple stuff. Now you might have done a lot of things. From this pattern you can see at every index what is it saying? What is going to come at this index? If I talk about this index, what is going to come at this index? If you try to look at it carefully, you can see that if I imagine a wall over here, at the 4 corners, I imagine a wall. Just draw a wall over here. Okay. So if I imagine a wall at these 4 corners, what can you see? You can see that the value, this is a very important point, and this only comes with observation. Okay. You can see that the value at every particular cell is actually equal to the minimum distance from all the 4 walls. Take any cell. If I take this cell, so what is the value of this? What is the distance of this cell from left wall? From left wall, the distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From top wall, the distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From right wall, the distance is 1, 2, 3. From bottom wall, the distance is 1 and 2. What is the minimum of all of these things? 2. That is our answer over here. Very cool stuff. Try anything else. Let's try for this one. What will come over here? So minimum of distance from the left wall is 1. From the above wall is 1. From the right wall is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From the below wall is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 also. Minimum is 1. So answer will be 1 over here. Similarly for 3 and 4 and whatever. Now isn't it simpler now for the previous question? So what are these 4 formulas that we are getting over here? If I'm talking about from the left, from the right, from up and from down. So at any cell you are at, what is the distance from the left of the wall for that cell? For the left of the wall, the distance is, I will just write it down over here, let's say, is actually not left, right, up, down. I'll write it clearly. So distance is from the left, from the right, from up, and from down. You tell me what is it? So if I'm at row number 6, mean I am already down 6 times. So if I'm already down 6 times, down is going to be equal to the number of row. Check for any case. If I'm talking about this one, so row number is 5, means there are 5 rows above it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's correct. So how many, sorry, what is the distance from the above wall? Distance from the above wall is equal to the number of row. Okay. What is the distance from the left wall? That is equal to the number of columns. So if you are at column number 3, so there are 3 over here. Yeah. From the left wall, it's column. What is the distance from the right? Distance from the right is going to be equal to my n, means 8 minus total number of columns you have already had. Okay. So if I'm talking about this thing, so distance from right is 3. 8 minus, no, 1 second. What is this going to be equal to? I think it's going to be equal to n minus distance from the right wall. Which column you are at? Yeah, which column you are at? So I'm already ahead, like these are like 5 columns ahead. Okay. So this is going to be equal to this entire, oops, sorry. Equal to 4, n is equal to 2 into n, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically what I'm trying to say is, I need to figure out this value, 3. This is actually equal to entire 8 minus how many far you have already come. This is nothing but columns. Okay, this is nothing but columns. So actually 8 minus 5, 3. That's true, 3. So n minus columns. Similarly, this is equal to n minus rows. Okay, so if you're at 3 over here, this should give me 3. So total number of n is 8 minus how many rows you have already come. I have come 5 rows, so it will give me 3. 1, 2, 3. That's correct. Yeah. Minimum of all of these is the answer. Minimum of all of these is the answer. Let's try to code this thing. Okay. So let's try to code this thing. Now I'm going to say that math.minimum of you can use this math.minimum function sort of a thing. It's gonna call minimum for 4 values. Okay, so 2 values I can just write over here, row and column. Then I can write n minus row and n minus column. That is it. Let's try to print this. How simple was that? Print for n is equal to 4. Let me add a space as well. Okay, let's add a nice space so it looks pretty. Looks pretty good. The question is, how can we make this pattern from this? Just do the opposite of it. Here, if you are printing math.minimum value from the wall, so if it's saying me, if it's showing me 0 and 1 and whatever this is, I can just say that this is equal to original n minus 1. Okay, so I can say int original n is equal to n. So I can say original n minus the minimum one. That's it. So instead of 0, it will be 4 minus 0, which is 4. Instead of 1, it will be 4 minus 1, which is 3. Instead of, what did we have over here? Over here we had 3. So instead of 3, it will be original. Here we had, what did we have? Here we had 2, I think. 4, 3. Yep. So let's try it out. If I run this, Okay, so here you're getting like an extra 0, but I need to do it. I had to do it like that way only because that is the only way I could explain, the distance from the wall. But now you can definitely modify it to, sort of like ignore the 0 and have the number of rows as it has in this, no problem. So that's like a homework for you. Now that you know the main concept and theorem, try to debug it, try to, see how it's working internally and everything, but that's pretty much about it. All right, so you just need to change the number of rows and columns for it and change the formula a little bit maybe. All right, that's it. So isn't it cool? Like we're able to solve these questions like this. So please make sure you follow these concepts, the ones that I've mentioned, number of rows, number of columns, and what goes in every column, the formula. That's it. That's it. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching. If you like this video, I want you to do a few things. Okay, like I mentioned throughout this entire video, I know it might get a little annoying, but it's important so that many people can learn the truth about the courses, right? So like right now, comment right now, like pause and comment. Then after you have commented, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. That's very important. And next thing is, in the description you can find DSA with Kunal hashtag and whatever. So 60 days of DSA or DSA with Kunal. If you write a tweet about it, the bot is automatically going to retweet. It's called learning in public. So make sure you check out the assignments as well. Assignment link in the description below, so you can do the assignments. Please do these things. Please share the good work that you're doing, and please share if you're learning something new, because that will create awareness. Okay, so this great free course will reach as many people as it can, and all your honest reviews will go over there as well. Please share your honest views, and please do all these things that I've just mentioned. It will really support the work that I do. I don't need any money from the students or whatever. All the courses will be free. This is the way I want you to support me. Okay, so please make sure you do it right now once you have watched the video. And yeah, share about it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one. Bye. Also check out the links in the description. You can follow us on socials. That is also going to be a big support.